Welcome to episode 93 of the Nerd Rundown. This week on the show, we have a big shakeup at Marvel. Jedi Survivor gets a new trailer and it looks badass. We're getting more Blade Runner, like it or not. Guillermo del Toro casts some major names for his Frankenstein adaptation.
It's Frankenstein.
The trailer train is one of the best yet, and Morg's wife asks us, why are we so critical? Ready, hit it!
Hey nerds, welcome back to the Nerd Rundown podcast where we cover the latest in the nerd world of movies, TV, and more. I'm Darren Stemple, and here with me today is my co-pilot, Erik here.
Hello, everybody.
And my other co-pilot, Morgan Santo.
Elegant. Elegant as always.
Beauty and simplicity.
Yes.
You can find us on all of our social media, all at the Nerd Rundown. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons, leave a comment and or a NRDbox question. You can also listen to us on all the major podcast services. Before we get to a packed show, let's hear a word about our sponsor, Combat the Chaos. It's no secret here at the Nerd Rundown that we support our veterans and our first responders. We ask that you do the same thing through our sponsor, Combat the Chaos. They're a veteran-owned clothing company that donates part of their proceeds to other amazing organizations supporting these warriors and guardians. If you're a veteran, you're at a 57% higher risk of suicide than those who have not served. As a veteran myself, this cause hits very close to home. This shirt and hat are some of the items available if you follow our link in the description down below to combatthechaos.com. Use the discount code NRD for 15% off and help us fight this battle that veterans and first responders so desperately need. Now, back to the rundown. Okay, back here on the rundown, and first on the rundown, big time news coming out of the MCU. In the past week, Victoria Alonso stepping down from her role effective immediately. Some people might be like, who?
Stepping down or asked to step down?
All we know right now is she's stepping down, and I feel like when you step down effective immediately, that's telling. You know, it's really saying something. So some of the fall off from that immediately is that it sounds like she was a big pain in the butt to the visual effects people. She was almost solely responsible for some of the poor efforts that's come out of the MCU lately.
Which I find suspicious. I that's all I'll say is she's the visual effects person, you know, so she's responsible for physical and post-production, visual effects, and animation production. So
quite the title.
Right. So let's just, if I'm just being completely honest here, the reason that the Eternals didn't do well was not because of physical and post-production, visual effects, and animation production, right? I mean,
Bingo.
None of those things were why the Eternals failed. I didn't walk out of any of the MCU movies, you know, with a bad taste in my mouth that I didn't like because of any of those things. Like Quantumania, you know, like I actually like Quantumania, but the visual effects I thought were terrific. There were some choices that they made as far as like production design, but those are creative decisions. I didn't walk out of that going, oh, I hated that because it looked that way, you know.
I feel like I thought she had a bigger role than just the visual effects. Just from like interviews I've seen with her and talking points, it almost seemed like she had a decent say in things that would happen in the movies or the course of the way the MCU was going. So I actually thought she had a bigger role. I didn't realize she was just the visual.
This is a newer,
but you know,
this is a newer title. She's been with the studio since its inception.
Right.
And so she's had many different titles. This is the most recent title. Physical and post-production. My God, what what else is there? You know, there's a lot that goes into those two things. And so, I mean, pre-production, but that I don't, you know, that's at least 2/3 under her watch.
Right.
So
Yeah. That's
there's also rumors that she had a big hand in the story beats over the last X amount of years, 5 to 6 years or so. So
Right. Well, if that's, I mean, if that part is true, then yeah, then maybe she does bear some responsibility for the stories of late. You know, I mean, I think all of the stories of late have been short on story and short on character, you know, development, and that's why they haven't done well. And well, I mean, other than the best movie of all time, which is the Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, you know, which we all know should be the greatest movie of all time, but
at least movie of the year.
Yeah, and how it didn't even get mentioned at the Oscars, they're all just jealous. I think is really what it comes down to. Like
they picked the wrong multiverse movie.
Yeah, right.
They mixed it up. They're like,
I think they did.
Was this the one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think this was kind of a long time coming. I mean, once I watched that interview when she said X-Men, there sure are a lot of women in it. I was like, oh shoot, like. You're missing the
fundamentally disagree.
It wasn't literally men, like men. You know, like you're missing the point here.
The biggest part about this, though, is there's that part, but also two sides to this coin. One, the visual effects artists for the MCU, whether they're outsourced or not, they have complained about being worked to death since the beginning of COVID.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And so there's a lot of complaints around that. That's
I could see that
tied to her. And so maybe she is the more of the like get shit done kind of boss, no matter the cost.
And rumors, you know, and granted, these are rumors, these are unsubstantiated, is that she was one of those types of people that has favorites. And so if she likes you and you're a favorite, you get more work, and maybe more work than you can actually handle, but because she likes you. Versus, you know, if she doesn't like you, if she doesn't like your politics, if she doesn't like, you know, how you're left-handed or whatever, you know, then you're not going to get as much work. And so, you know, again, the visual effects are not the problem with these pictures, you know,
especially knowing COVID changed that so much. It's like, I'm not going to hold that against them.
I think the visual effects are kind of, not that they're bad, it's just you're relying on it now.
I don't disagree with you there. That's a different point, but
very good point. Yeah. I mean, when they green screen a coffee shop around you, that's like, how much is that saving you?
Yeah, right. You couldn't have done that you couldn't find a set for that, you know?
Like seriously. So, you know, there's some other MCU news that's come out recently on top of this, and not necessarily because of it, but in addition to it, Michael Waldron, who has gotten a big name ever since the debut of Loki. He was the head writer on that TV show. And then, you know, he's on top of the world. He gets, you know, tapped by Kevin Feige to do his Star Wars movie or write it. And then he writes Multiverse of Madness. And then all of a sudden people are like, well, this Michael Waldron guy is a hack. As it's very seasonal in the nerd world at times. But he just recently renewed his contract, and he's also writing the Secret Wars movie, which is supposed to close out Phase 6.
Right.
And now there's rumors that that's being split into 2 movies because it's just going to be too big, which I get that. Holy cow. So
I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with
I don't mind that.
If you're got to
he wrote movie of the year, right?
Yeah, if you got exactly. First of all, the guy can
renew that contract.
Yeah, he'd be a foolish, because you know he's going to go straight to James Gunn. So and write Black Adam too. You know, like that's.
I just can't wait. I can't wait to see the riveting speech in Secret Wars when the main person just goes, "You just got to believe in yourself."
Yeah.
It's in you the whole time. Oh, I got this now. Power's under control.
Listen,
Sorry.
I
Spoiler.
like this move. I want more of this guy. The Multiverse of Madness, it wasn't just the writing. That was a mess on a lot of levels.
Well, I think it was the director. The director's vision was way different than the MCU. Like you're talking two different.
Yeah. Should have been an R-rated horror movie.
Yeah, yeah. I don't.
R-rated horror movie.
Could have been an Oscar winner though.
It should have been. It should have been Picture of the Year. So or you could watch The Whale, or you could watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, or you could watch Multiverse of Madness. And I'll tell you where my money's at. So
it's on the Multiverse movie.
Yeah, they didn't even nominate it because they didn't want it to be in competition with the other movies, because they just knew that it wouldn't.
The Oscar crowd, they're elitist. It's just like they don't want to be playing favorites. I get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Secret Wars movie though, being split into two is interesting news.
So with Waldron, I'll kind of mix some stories here because it's one we didn't put on the rundown, but it's one that I kind of wanted to talk about. But it was kind of late breaking news today, in that Damon Lindelof.
Oh, I meant to put that on there. Yeah.
Yeah, is bowing out. They turned in their script. Him and his partner turned in their script. They parted ways, and then they turned in their script. They parted ways with each other, and then also with Disney, Lucasfilm, whatever you want to call it, Kathleen Kennedy. Well, I'll just say that they parted ways with Kathleen Kennedy. And I have to say, David Lindelof has a special place in my heart for a couple of different purposes. Lost initially, and then I liked what he did with Star Trek. I enjoyed what he did with Star Trek, and he made it so a lot of people who never watched Star Trek could watch Star Trek and be like, hey, I actually like this. Yep. Now a lot of Star Trekkies are like, it's not like real Star Trek, but but it's okay, because it was enough to get people to enjoy Kirk and Spock and McCoy and all that. Yeah. So, but his statement on this, and I think there's kind of a consensus thing here kind of forming for me, is like Waldron is like, hey, he got some accolades for Doctor Strange, and he did some great stuff with Loki, but there were some criticisms of him as well, but if you go back to what Lindelof said, was that he has so much respect for the property, Star Wars, the property, that anything short of great is not good enough. Yeah. And his thought was, sometimes you have to step back and go, should I be the chef, or should I just be the one eating? And I think that's where he turned in his script and was like, here, this is the best I could do. But it doesn't sound confident like that's the best. It doesn't, at least that statement to me sounds like what he thinks it's not the best. Right. So
were you saying he was talking about Michael Waldron?
No, he was talking about his own script, because he wrote a script with another fella, I can't remember what his name is, that for a new Star Wars film, and they turned it in, and then he left Lucasfilm, and so he's not going to be part of that, even though he's turned the script in and everything. So it sounds like he's not all that confident that what he turned in is all that great. So, right. But to go with
that, or they wanted to chop it up a lot.
Right. Really? Yeah. Which could be, and so I look at this signing by Waldron, and I think the amount of pressure that's on these folks, like Waldron, who's writing this stuff, on Lindelof, and I think the director for Shazam, the two Shazam's movies, said he's done with superhero movies for a while. The
David
toxic,
Sandberg.
The toxic environment that comes, like, he has no regrets about being in them, but he doesn't want to do any more superhero stuff for a while because the toxic fandom type stuff, just the stuff that surrounds it just makes it really hard to do it. And so there's a lot of pressure on guys like Waldman. So for him to renew the deal, I think is impressive. Good on him. And I wish him nothing but luck and
Yeah.
and all the best, because it's hard, man. It's hard. And I think this will kind of lead into what our nerd box question is later on.
Absolutely.
It's hard to do these things. It's hard to make good movies and to please everybody, and so when you got people like Alonzo over your shoulder constantly,
need to make me happy.
I don't know why they don't. I've said that for a while. You need to give every movie,
Morgan.
You need to give every screener to the guys from Red Letter Media. I love those dudes. You just need to give every screener to those guys and be like, hey, they're going to tear that apart and you need to go back and reshoot or whatever.
Yeah. You're going to go, oh man, we should remake this movie.
Right.
That'd be really smart. If now here's an interesting piece of this as well. Okay, so there's talk now. Last week we talked about a Silver Surfer special presentation being in development. We are now talking about a Sentry, which is a Marvel character. He was like created to be like kind of Marvel's answer to Superman, even though that was done in like the 90s or maybe even late 90s, I think. So it's supposed to tie into the Thunderbolts movie. If you think, okay, the Silver Surfer special presentation is supposed to tie into the Fantastic Four movie. We had this first special presentation, Werewolf by Night, not tie into Moon Knight, but helped build that world of monsters and different kind of a different side of the universe, Marvel universe. Then we had the Guardians of the Galaxy special presentation, which was a holiday special, which was great. But also important for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So is this going to be the new way? And it's been successful so far. Both special presentations have been well received. I did not watch Werewolf by Night, but I'll start with you, Morgan. Is this smart? Yeah. Is this a smart move for them? These are 45, 50-minute special presentations to introduce a new character.
It's tough. So I did like Werewolf by Night. Now I believe I'm kind of in the minor on that one. I thought it was neat. It was different, so I enjoyed it.
It's got a high both cinema and Rotten Tomato score.
The Marvel, the Guardians of the Galaxy special, I thought was fantastic. Again, reminded me just how much I love Guardians, and I can't wait for their movie to come out. So, but it's tough because again, it just comes back to my point of we're just getting too much of both at the moment, movies and the shows, and it's just.
So this is different than a show, though,
right? Because it's the special, but again, you're now coming to you need to get people. Your average moviegoer, because that's who the big appeal is to. You need to convince them, yeah, you have to get on Disney Plus and watch this. And I just don't see it happening. I don't know anybody that likes Marvel movies that's a casual person that would go, yeah, I'm going to get Disney Plus specifically to watch all this extra crap. They're like, no, I'll catch the new one in theaters, maybe. It's just fun. But I don't know. Now I know the rumor is Stephen Young might play him. That's the rumor, which. I'm one of those people that there's certain actors that I'll try to support through anything, and my boy Glenn will get supported in anything. In fact, we're going to talk about him later again.
We are, yeah.
So I mean, I'm going to watch it, but it's just I don't know. I think I'd prefer a movie.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with it on Disney Plus. I really don't. I don't think he's a big character, a big MCU draw. I don't think he's going to be able to do a standalone movie and pull enough people in that way. Whereas if you put him on Disney Plus and he does reasonably well, I don't think you'll have too many issues. And if he's well received, then you promote him up and you bring him in, But if it's one of those standalone things, I don't have a problem with it. I didn't watch Werewolf by Night, but I did watch Moon Knight, and I know we've talked about it before. I really, really, really enjoyed Moon Knight. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was, it was clunky in different parts, but overall, I loved that it was all by itself, and I loved that it kind of had its own. It was setting up its own lore, and going back to the Egyptian gods and stuff. I just thought that was really cool, and I thought the suit was just incredible.
Dynamite.
Like it was so good. It was so good. So I don't have a problem with this being on Disney Plus. I don't think I think at this point it sets the expectation maybe a little low, like it's like, hey, well, it's just it's I don't want to call it the junior varsity, but maybe it's more of like a JV. If you go straight to Disney Plus, it's more of a JV, and
it's almost like a test. Like, hey,
AAA?
let's do this 45-minute thing with him, and if people like it, now we know we can really bring him in and do some stuff with him.
Or we can give him more, and I think, or it's not going to be weird when he does show up in the Avengers.
It's more that.
Yeah, when he shows up in the Avengers, people are going to go, well, who the heck is this guy? It's like, oh, well, you got to check out Sentry on Disney Plus. It's actually really good.
It's a quick 45-minute intro.
The characters are really going to go, who are you? You didn't see the show?
Yeah, but they've done that before. That's what they're going to do with the Marvels. That's what they're going to do with the Marvels. I mean, they've got this Kamala Khan, and she's going to, if she's going to come on the stage and everybody's going to be like, who the heck is this kid? And be like, which is, again, part of the problem that we may be running into, which, I have this sinking feeling lately that it's not the characters, it's not the storytelling, it's fatigue. Like
I think it's
the studio is fatigued, not just the actors. I think everybody's trying to put in as much as they can, but I think that just the drive for more. It's hard to keep a winning streak going like they have. And so you have these summer, in baseball, you have those summer doldrums where it's hot out and it's just hard, but then the postseason comes in and you make that race towards the end and all that, and it makes it better.
Find another gear.
Yeah, you find another gear. So I think perhaps maybe we're in that season of superhero movies, and not just. I mean, DC is just floundering, but well,
maybe
our expectation is that they'll do better. But with Marvel, I don't know. I don't think
in addition to. I think that was a really good point.
Yeah.
Because if he's already tying into the Thunderbolts, that movie is already too far gone for them to like.
Right.
So I think it's just
reshoots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just more. Who's this guy? Who's this? Who are the Thunderbolts teaming up to fight? It's the Sentry. Who? Oh, well, he's got this 45-minute, easy, quick.
Right.
Introduction. And I think that works a lot better than say a whole 9-10 episode TV series. So
yeah, I agree.
Looking forward to seeing the Sentry. It's a wild character. It's a wild costume. Steven Yeun. I hope they don't give him the long blonde hair, but maybe they.
Yeah, I hope not. That would be a little weird.
Well, next on the rundown, we finally got our very first story trailer for Bless You.
Excuse me. Sorry.
The I'm gonna put it number 2 for me.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2. Preparation age.
Oh man. Lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Quoting Austin Powers.
I know. I'm like,
once we go down that road, it's hard to stop.
So it's like, now
you're thinking,
who does number 2 work for?
That's another really good Tom Arnold role.
Yeah.
Bite your lip and give it hell.
Show him who's boss. You get back in there.
We'll get through this, buddy.
Holy hell! What did you eat?
Great stuff.
Sorry, everyone.
No,
Mike Myers. Yeah.
We can't joke
need.
around
We
on
need
this
Austin
show.
Powers 4.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what we need.
Drop my marker here. Okay. Jedi Survivor, number 2 most anticipated story, or excuse me, number 2 most anticipated video game story trailer we got. Now we finally have some details. What kind of action we're getting into? Who's our sidekicks? How have the characters grown? Who's newly introduced? Morgan, thoughts after seeing this first story trailer for what
I
I
didn't pay attention
suspect
to
is one of
any
your top.
names while watching it because I was just like, yes, I just enjoyed it. I was like, yes, and I'm like, oh, it looks like we're gonna fight with them, and I'm like, I didn't even like pay attention to. I'm like, yes, but it looks good. I mean, it looks like he's trying to build a resistance again. Like they're showing him in looks like pretty public places. He's whipping out this lightsaber and fighting people. In the first one, it was more like, duck and weave, get away, try to avoid it. And this one, it looks like he's like, no, let's do this. Let's start recruiting.
5 years later.
An army. Yeah, 5 years later. After the first game, he's got his nice beard.
Yeah, it looks so good.
He does.
And his haircut looks so boss.
Yeah, he looks more matured. But no, I'm excited for it. It looks like it's going to be a really good sequel. Probably bigger. It looked like they showed some more puzzles and stuff you can do using the Force, and so I'm sure it's going to be bigger. And it looks like we're going to visit some pretty cool worlds and see a lot of nice stuff. I'm really looking forward to it. I guess it's. Yeah, I'd say.
Guess it's number 2 or number 1.
I'm going back. I'm saying right now it's bumped to 1. But I'm sure once we get the official Spidey trailer, that's that's
I know that might be my number 1 most anticipated thing of this year is Spider-Man 2 on the PS5. Eric, did you watch the trailer, and was it something you were like, I want to get into this game series?
Finally gonna play the first.
We played the first one.
I keep forgetting you played the first one.
Yeah, Jackson and I played the first one, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I wasn't like immersed in the story, and like it didn't like suck me in or anything like that to where I wanted to play it. I did watch the trailer for the new one. All the stuff looks really cool. The artwork and all the CGI looks really good. I was actually quite fascinated to bring in the Last of Us series. I watched a lot of performance capture stuff from the Last of Us video game after I finished the Last of Us series, because I kind of stayed away from all of that. And I really had no idea how. I did not realize that a lot of that acting is done in a performance capture suit and all that stuff. So, all those scenes. So that was kind of interesting. So I have a good appreciation for how that went, so all in all, I thought it was cool, it looks cool. I've talked to Jackson, and I have talked about it, and we're like, hey, we'll probably end up picking the game up and stuff, especially since the Google Stadia was how he was playing the other version, and that has since Google's killed that project. So I'd like to get it. So hopefully, is it coming to the Switch, or will it be on the
PS5 only? I think.
Is it PS5 only? Yeah. Okay, all right.
Oh.
Well,
get a PS5.
I don't think I'm going to be stepping up to the plate on the PS5 just yet. So.
Pretty awesome.
I watched the trailer on my TV with my son, and as soon as it was over, he looked at me, did that.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, we are. Don't worry, we're getting that.
Yeah, I'm getting that.
Yeah. It's like, well, hold up, I'm getting it.
Yeah,
and I can beat it, and then you can play it.
There you go. There you go. I just, at the end of the last one, he felt so powerful. I'm like, how are they gonna power him up? And you could tell there's some cool stuff that he's learned how to do to help level him up. And again, that beard and haircut combo, so nice.
It looks just like him. Let's bring him in.
I know. Come on. What's funny
this movie
about the not about the cow actor, but do you know who voices? Grease? Grease? It's really random, so I
Wow.
doubt you would know. Dan Roebuck. Does that name sound
Dan
familiar?
Roebuck.
The name does sound familiar. I know that.
Look up Dan Roebuck when you get a chance. You're
I
gonna be like, oh
definitely
my,
know
yeah,
that
I
name.
know Dan Roebuck. But it's just
Roblox
funny.
or Buck?
Roebuck.
Roebuck. He was actually cast as something at first, and now I don't remember who
Oh
for.
yeah.
Dan Roebuck.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
You're like, that's the guy that voiced
He's in the Munsters. The
new
Mustards?
Munsters.
That's
Sorry.
a sign we're gonna
The
move on
mustards.
on the
the-
rundown
Just have a
to
The Condiment King.
the next the Condiment King. Yeah. finally have the identity of the Condiment
The
King.
Condiment King.
From
the
He's from the Mustards.
Dan Roebuck.
It's
Gosh, what was he?
his wife Honey and
Oh.
his son Dijon. It's the worst.
Dijon.
Oh gosh, I hate this. Do you
I
guys
love
like?
Dijon.
You do? Oh,
I like Dijon mustard. I don't. I like. Actually, I like all the mustards. I'm a big fan of all the mustards. I'll just say that.
Their dog Gray, who
Yellow
poop on
only.
stuff.
Great, yeah, the grape.
Yeah, their dog Gray, who poops on stuff.
I saw a tweet recently that was like, it was once cool to roll down your window next to another car and ask them if they had any mustard.
You Gray pecan.
But of course,
Good tie back to big time inspiration for the show, Wings World.
I'll say this next news.
TV series updates for 100, Alex. Let me get that correct, because first up on the cancellation list is Willow. 1 season on Disney Plus. Erik, did you get a chance to ever catch up on Willow?
I did not. It's in the rotation, like it's expected to.
Um,
Not anymore.
Like,
yeah,
still in the
it
rotation,
does,
knowing that they canceled it. Like, that's
yeah,
not a good sign.
It makes it hard because but then again, that's part of the problem is like if I had watched it, they probably wouldn't have canceled it. They need like one more person to watch, and I didn't do it, and so
it could have been any of us, either.
Yeah, yeah. It does make me a little sad, but the early reviews from people that I tend to be like-minded about, or it were pretty negative about it, and so it kind of dampened my enthusiasm for it, and so I didn't get a chance to watch it. So I loved the movie. The movie is, like we've talked about it, it's been one of my favorites for a long time. So but it's hard, I imagine, without having Val Kilmer in there and stuff. It was probably the Mad Mardigan character or whatever. So
yeah,
sure, people were hoping to get at least another version of a newer character, but like he is that character, but just for this show. But like I had a feeling I wasn't going to watch it just because I didn't watch the movie. I was like, well, I want to see the movie first before I even get into the show.
Yeah.
But then Erik and I do listen to a lot of the same people, and just hearing some of the really awful crap in the show, as far as like writing goes, just cinematography, just a lot of the stuff they did, it just sounded like it was more of like hey, I think we could get a cash grab out of this real quick and bring people in for nostalgia,
pull on some Gen X nostalgia, or whatever, and
they forgot to write a good story, and like that's what it sounded like.
Okay. I thought it was well received, so hearing that, I'm surprised. I'll have to go and check it out. But
well received by the corporate shills.
The other piece of this was Amazon Prime has found their director for Blade Runner 2099, and Game of Thrones vet Jeremy Podeswa. Jodie Comer's been rumored to be the lead actress in this, but this takes place 50 years after the last entry into this franchise, Blade Runner 2049. So it's going to be all new characters. I don't know. I didn't even know this was happening. Is this something that's on your radar, Eric?
Negative. I didn't see the second movie. I maybe this is a bad opinion, but I'm not a Blade Runner. Like I thought I'm not a Blade Runner fan. I just am not.
Yeah.
I just have never gotten into it. I think like the visuals of Blade Runner were cool. Like that's vision of the future and like this dystopian existence. And I think it's cool that I think it's cool the idea of these replicants or whatever, you know, and all that. Like I thought that was neat, but frankly, every time that I tried to watch Blade Runner, I got bored out of my mind. It just was a boring movie, and
I'm right there with you.
So I'm not a Ridley Scott fanboy,
Wow.
by any stretch of the imagination. I some of his stuff is terrific, and some of the other stuff I'm like, can't go with you down that road, bud. You know, so.
Well, we'll come back to Ridley Scott a little bit later. But Morg, is this on your radar?
No, I'm just kidding. I've never watched the first two.
The-
I know, because everybody, as soon as I'm like, yeah, we're nerds, and they go, yeah, what, you
Sure.
like Blade Runner? I never watched. And it's like, what? I actually did see some of the second one because, like, I was back when I still had a cable TV. I was flipping through and HBO was on, and like Blade Runner was on, so I just kind of
Yeah.
left it. The new one,
Right.
And it was like what I saw was interesting, and it made me go, oh, I should watch the first one and watch this. But
Right.
then I was like, man. My wife will never care to watch it
ever.
ever.
Eric's absolutely right. It's got good bones. The franchise has good bones, but my God, Blade Runner is boring. The first Blade Runner. Tried to watch the second one, thought it was like, okay, this will be a good entry into this one. Again, boring. Like visually amazing looking movie.
Well, you know, it's funny because we have some friends. You know, when I think of, I tend to think of Dune when comparing to like stuff like this. I think Dune, just the whole futuristic stuff, and you know, our friends that we have, the Dune, the new one, are like it was just so boring, and they hated it, and I'm like, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
But Blade Runner, everybody we're like, it's kind of slow, and you know, but everybody else loves it.
With Dune, I watched it and I was like what you consider to be boring parts were actually really great because the visuals were usually took over for that, and every boring scene was like character development and you know, plot development. So I didn't feel like anything was really wasted on any of that. So whereas Blade Runner, I felt like they're just monologuing, you know, or just, you know, talking.
Or staring.
Staring.
Right.
It's like, come on. It's like, come on, all right.
I mean, both of these franchises, I would consider them to be cult classics, not actual classics. Like that means they have a cult following, a small following, not something that you should try to build a franchise around.
No desire to read.
Well, and I think Blade Runners is more the artistic sci-fi side of things. It's not necessarily the plot and the story as it is just the noir, this futuristic noir look that he created is what really, I think, sticks in people's memory. Yeah, and so that's where they keep trying to go, you know, I guess, with it and stuff. So,
well, we'll see. Maybe you know, a lot of times these shows are good entryways for fans. So, next on the rundown we have casting updates for familiar franchises for 700. I don't know actually if that's ever is that a real number on Jeopardy?
Yeah.
They can
It's 6, 7, and I think 8, 9. I think goes up to 1,000, right?
But what is it? Yes, Alex. I'll take it's 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 9, 10, 10.
I'll take the penis mightier.
So that's how is that? That's my impression of somebody else doing an impression of somebody else. So that's
that was good. That was good.
My impression of David Duchovny doing a Jeff Goldblum impression.
I mean, honestly,
2, 4, 6, 8, 1,000. So it's
Mm.
there you go. Yeah. Okay. So it is even.
All right. 8.
Well, this can be for 700, and for just
we
because
gotta do
it's
700 so we don't get sued.
our own show, we can
different.
do what we want.
We can do what we want.
Big news in the casting up of Guillermo. Thank you.
GD.
Guillermo del Toro's new movie, Frankenstein. They've cast Andrew Garfield and Oscar Isaac. So you had to choose, Eric, who's gonna be Frankenstein and who's gonna be Dr. Jekyll. Who would you choose out of those two?
Dr. Jekyll. You mean the
Jekyll's gonna be in
monster?
this?
So I will say
we gotta clarify.
I'll
Dr.
clarify.
Jekyll supposed to be in this, or do you mean the
No.
Frankenstein and his monster?
That's what I meant. Sorry.
I've got
Right?
I've got Oscar Isaac as the doctor.
Okay.
I've got as
And-
Dr. Frankenstein, and then Andrew Garfield as his monster. Like that's
Got it.
I think how I would do that one. Because I
Why?
just because I think Oscar Isaac has that dark can sometimes have that dark after watching him in Moon Knight, you know,
Yeah.
he can play that dark, sinister, you know, maniacal person. I think,
Yeah.
you know, and not that Dr. Frankenstein is that maniacal. He's just driven, you know, and he's obsessed with this creation of his, or you know, the trying to revive, you know, the dead. And so with Garfield, I think he's so good physically, you know, with
That's a good point.
with stuff. I think he would be able to put on a good performance. But I honestly,
That's a good point.
either one of those guys, you could put them in either role, and because both those dudes are, in my mind, A-list actors. Like they are
For sure.
just really, really great talent, and I'm actually kind of excited about this. Normally, a Frankenstein movie, I think the last one I saw was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. You know, from way back with like
Radcliffe, that one.
Gosh, who was it did that one? That was like in 90. Look at the 90s. I can't remember which one it was.
The one with Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro, yeah. And
I don't know if I saw that one.
it was all right.
Yeah,
but I mean, nothing beats Young Frankenstein. You know, with
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder.
Abby.
It's Frankenstein.
Abby Normal.
I'm sorry.
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. But yeah, no, I actually, this Guillermo del Toro is one of those dudes that just has vision and sees things. I did not watch the Pinocchio thing that he did, but seeing clips from it and seeing the trailers and stuff like that for it, I can't help but have an appreciation for just the vision that he has for things. You know, and even going back to kind of the older stuff, I didn't watch any of the Hellboy because he did the Hellboy movies, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed them.
Yeah, I didn't watch those.
The only stuff I've really enjoyed from him.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah, but everything, it isn't because of I didn't like what I saw from like the sets or the cinematography or the directing. I just had no interest in the Hellboy character, you know, as it was. But yeah, so I think I'm actually kind of excited to see this. What about you? I mean, what do you think, Garfield or Oscar as the Doctor?
I mean, I always picture Andrew Garfield in a Peter Parker lab coat. You know,
Sure.
that's how I always picture him as a doctor.
Yeah.
But Oscar Isaac is definitely one of those actors who, in the last, I mean, pretty much since I guess Force Awakens, has come into A-list territory, and I'll watch anything Oscar Isaac does. So I will, if I had to choose, I would choose. I think I really, you know what? I'll just go with what you said, Eric, because you're right. Garfield is a very physical actor, and I would love to see him take on kind of a monster role.
That's not what I'm thinking.
But also,
yeah, you're the other way.
Guillermo del Toro just won an Oscar too, so
Yeah.
good on him.
True.
So that's
Yep.
No,
Oscar
well,
winner Guillermo del Toro.
Yes, right.
I think so we know one of them has to be the monster, because I was thinking Andrew Garfield would be Igor.
Is it
but Igor.
Igor?
Yeah, Igor. But I figured that's what I don't know. I figured Oscar would be, the doctor, and Andrew would be the assistant, is what I was picturing. I don't picture him being the monster. I feel like they're going to get somebody much bigger to be that part. Just
You think Mark
physically bigger.
Ruffalo is as big as the Hulk?
Well,
I'm just joking. Next.
no, they should have got somebody as big as the Hulk.
Yeah.
Edward Norton. No, but I just picture him, because I don't know. I can just see him again in the lab coat thing. Like, that's how I picture him. But I can see him being more of his assistant, his Igor in this.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's what I'm picturing, other than a Frankenstein. And I think he'll go for practical effects for the Frankenstein, and I think he'll try to get somebody that's just naturally big.
Okay.
That can also act.
That's why we bring you on there, Morg. You have a different perspective.
The Igor.
I like it. Yeah.
All
right. So the other piece of casting updates that we got came from Ridley Scott again, here, Erik. But he has cast Denzel Washington and Barry Keoghan, whom you may know from The Eternals. Also,
the Joker.
The Joker. Yeah, I was
He's
like,
the Joker. Yeah.
He's the Joker, but you haven't
Batman.
really gotten to see his face in that.
Yeah.
You have to watch
so I didn't
that
know if that was going to be a good
deleted
one or
scene
not.
to see his face.
Yeah, but
Or if you recently watched his
he was
performance
in a
in
couple
the
of Irish movies.
Yeah, the Irish movie that won or was up for an Oscar.
Oh yeah, with
Banshees of
Banshees of
Inertia or something.
Erskine. I can't remember.
Anyway, two big gets for this movie. They've cast a relatively unknown actor for the main role, which his name is Paul Mescal. You wouldn't know him from anything. But he is supposed to play Lucius, which was the son of what's her name from the first one? Basically his grandfather was Marcus Aurelius.
He says you're Hector Reborn.
Yeah. What's his name's nephew, right? Isn't that
Joaquin Phoenix's nephew.
The Joker.
I was trying to remember.
Why doesn't the hero remove his helmet?
Such a good scene. So, at first, hearing about Gladiator 2, I was like, okay, really is going off the deep end here. Casting Denzel, that's a pretty big name, even though they've worked together before. So, I don't know. I'll start with you, Morg. What do you think about this casting?
Everybody casts it's great, but why? I just never imagined watching Gladiator. I need a sequel to this. I need to go see what. I figured if they did a sequel, it'd be some straight to DVD crap. That they're just trying to capitalize on the moment.
Right.
So I don't. I gotta wait to see something. I'm keeping my interest at a nothing for this right now. Pretend it doesn't even exist until I see something.
Smart, wicked smart. Erik, does it uptick you at all?
No. I love Denzel, and I've been impressed with Barry to this point, with the stuff that he's done. So as far as the acting and stuff like that, or actors in this, sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm with Morg on this one. Of all the movies that I wanted a sequel to, this was not it.
Wasn't it?
It was I thought we finished that, and I was okay with it. So I don't have any interest in this one. So we'll have to see what the trailer shows. And if the trailer shows some good stuff, or if it's looking good, then I'll be happy to change my tune on that.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like gladiator movies. You know, I mean, that's what the guy says in Airplane, right? Do you like movies about gladiators?
Sure.
Never related so hard to a guy on a plane ever before in my life.
You ever hang around a gymnasium?
And I'll say too with this, like even with the trailer, like even if it's a good trailer, like I'm already at it. Like I'm not going to see this in theater. Even if it's like a good trailer, I'm like, wow, that looks good. I'm like, nah, I'm just going to wait. You know, like
Okay.
I don't think this is one that I would even go see.
It's Denzel.
It's hard for me. It's hard. Yeah, I was
I
gonna say it's
know.
hard
I
for
mean,
me
it
to
is
say no to
Denzel,
Denzel, dude.
Yeah.
In a big
Yeah.
action movie? Are you kidding me?
I've seen all of the Equalizer ones, and they are not like what I'll call high entertainment, but I've seen them all in the movie theater because I love watching Denzel
I
kick
love watching
some butt.
Denzel. I love Denzel clicking his watch. You know,
Yeah.
It's
Should he get
16
brought into
seconds.
And
should they bring Denzel into the MCU or the DC universe?
I mean, I don't know.
See,
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne recently say he loves the MCU and wouldn't mind being in it someday, but apparently forgot he was already in it.
Well, yes, I did see that.
He was in Ant-Man too.
My first thought on that when I read that was because I saw like it was like a tweet and it was like Lawrence Fishburne or the headline said Lawrence Fishburne forgets he's in the MCU, and then the quote tweet or whatever it's called was you are in it, and I thought they were making the Samuel Jackson joke.
Oh yeah.
At first.
Well,
and then obviously I was like, oh yeah, he's Bill Foster.
Well, when I watched him do the interview, I forgot he was in the MCU as well.
I was gonna say, I forgot as well.
Oh yeah, I could see him. I'm surprised they ever brought him in.
Yeah.
And then I saw that thing and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. He's an Ant-Man and the Wasp. I completely forgot.
There's a surprising amount of actors who forget that they're in the MCU or forget what MCU movie they're in.
Well, I think
after
I think when they say they want to be in the MCU, they want to be like in a costume, like swinging around like Spider-Man, not like I got like a 5-line speaking role, you know, in this one or whatever. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll
what
move
happens.
on.
Yeah.
We'll move on. We'll close out the rundown news portion with rest in peace to Lance Reddick.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you added this. Yep.
Heartbreaking news as he passed away at the age of 60. Which I would not have guessed he was 60.
Yeah, dude, looked
no way.
First time,
terrific.
My first introduction to Lance was from Lost, and then subsequently Fringe. Right after that,
terrific in Fringe,
and then he's popped up, here and there, and most recently well known for the John Wick franchise, and as the new John Wick is about to premiere, it will do so without one of its big stars. And I tell you what, this got me. Like I said in the past, I'm not a big mourner of Hollywood people, but man, Lance was one of the good ones when every single person has nothing but amazing things to say about him.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I know you guys are a little biased because of the preferred gaming platform, but he was a pretty important character in the Destiny video game, and he did the voice of that. And from what I understand, that community was really, really.
They put on a vigil for him.
They did. The Destiny folks, like, they did a bunch of really great stuff in memory of him. Like the fan community did, I read a tweet about it. I wish I'd saved it. But yeah, really terrific. I had seen him in a bunch of stuff, I think I saw him in Lost, of course. He had a small run on Lost, and I really enjoyed him there.
Very small run.
Yeah, he's like 3 or 4 episodes or
Yeah,
something like that.
like as like a ghostly character, like who like just shows up and
Yeah,
Spoiler
but he
alert.
was so good. Like it
yeah,
was like
he was so good.
so good. And then Fringe. I just loved him on Fringe. He had such a cool um presence about him, you know, and just the way his voice just a great voice, you know, great voice. So
yeah, classic voice.
yeah. So
Was he on The Wire?
Yeah,
he was in The Wire.
was on The
he was
Wire,
in The
yeah.
Wire.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I never watched, but
I didn't either. I mean, I
Oh,
want
really?
to. Yeah.
It should be a show you guys watch for several reasons. One, it's a good show.
Yeah.
Most people have it like you see like top shows of all time. The Wire's and Breaking Bad are like 1A, 1B. It's not there for me, but Banana and I were just talking about like The Wire, and we're like, maybe we should rewatch that because
I know. Yeah, I've heard it's really good.
I could rewatch it.
Didn't like
Did
a
you
lot
watch
of Walking Dead
Bosch?
characters come from that?
What's that?
Ooh, that was a double question.
Yeah, I said didn't a lot of actors from The Walking Dead actually come from The Wire? Like, weren't there a few that were on
The Wire is such a big show with so many actors
Okay.
a lot of
There's
people
just a good chance, yeah.
crossover between the two shows. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Eric?
Oh, I was just asking if you guys watched because I was just thumbing through his
IMDb.
IMDb, and he was on that show Bosch. He did 68 episodes on that show Bosch, which I have not watched.
I've heard good things.
I've heard good things as well, and it's got the other dude from Lost on there.
Yeah,
he was the bad.
Yeah,
Jacob. He was Jacob's brother.
Yeah, he was.
Not like the Weasley looking guy.
No, like he's. I don't think he's Weasley. He's a pretty dark looking
Morgan,
dude.
you've never seen it.
Well, there's a guy I'm picturing that I'm pretty sure
you're
Lost,
talking about Ben.
Okay.
Ben.
Yeah, you're talking about Ben Linus. Yep. Yeah, Titus Welliver is the guy who.
Titus Welliver. Yeah.
Yep.
That's it. So
well, and he's some of his upcoming. He's got White Men Can't Jump upcoming in 2023. Like, I wonder how far some of these got into production. Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I don't know if it's a remake or not, but apparently
we've talked about it on the rundown, Morgan.
Oh, man.
Did we?
He's in Ballerina, which is
Right.
the spinoff to John Wick as well. Listen, his character in John Wick is so good.
He's so good.
Yeah.
He's got that accent, like
when he's like, we do not board, but I would be willing to take on.
Right. Yeah.
He was a good boy.
A show that was absolutely horrible, but he was the only saving grace was Resident Evil. For some reason, I watched that entire season.
Right.
I haven't watched Lost. I haven't finished Andor, but I watched the whole season of that damn Resident Evil show on Netflix, which to me, I was like, there's no hope for video game adaptations ever again. And then The Last of Us came out. But his character in it, he's the commanding presence in it. I mean, he does a good job with what he was given, and he plays multiple roles in it, and each person's different, and he seems like a genuinely different character. He's great. I'm looking forward to, seeing him
in Lost. Yeah, you should.
In his last, projects here with John Wick 4 and, stuff upcoming. And I'm sure they'll do special stuff, and good actor.
Yeah.
Was a good actor. But big loss. Hollywood.
Big loss. He again, he's good in everything. So just got me right here.
Yep.
Let's move to the trailer train. We got some really positive stuff here. Starting off with a project. I think I'm the only one who has seen it. Did you guys watch?
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
First season of Sweet Tooth.
It's one of my favorite shows.
Oh man. Okay.
I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. It is amazing. It is one of those shows. I forgot about it, and then the trailer came. I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this show.
Same. It was one of those I forgot all about it. And
it looks so good. Eric, this has definitely got to be high on your list. It's one of those shows that you just like don't read anything about it. Don't do anything. Just go into it so fresh and clean. You're gonna be blown away. The music in it is phenomenal. And the
Downey
story
Jr.
and the acting,
was
it's
the
just
producer.
great.
Is it Netflix?
It is Netflix, yes. Yeah.
I watched the trailer because it's on the list here, and so I have got a little bit of insight. I watched it and I was like, how have I not seen like the first season of this? I don't even think I knew about the first season of this for some reason or another. Like, I don't remember us talking about it, but maybe we did. But
maybe it was
maybe
I'm just
very
mixing
early
group chat
days.
and,
Maybe very early days. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've
'Cause I
talked about
loved
it.
it.
In
when was it out? When did it come out? Sweet.
2020.
Yeah, I was gonna say it came
Like
out
right.
before the
So
pandemic.
during it, because it's a pandemic movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
it'll
might
be
have heard it.
interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting if it gets a boost from like Last of Us pandemic watching. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it does. I mean, it's.
I hope it does.
a
I
really
hope
good
it.
show. I was shocked. I was shocked how good it was.
I swear, and now I couldn't find it. So thank goodness. Maybe I was dreaming, but I
That
swear I
kid
saw
with
an article.
antlers.
I
Rack.
saw. I swear I saw an article that said it was only going to be one more season, and I was devastated. But this doesn't say anything about final season.
Right.
You know?
It doesn't.
So,
I mean, it made me want to go get the comics. That's for sure. Read them.
yeah,
But I think
Gosh.
I'll wait till I finish the second season. Then.
It might be worth rewatching before season 2 comes out, which is only like a month away. Yeah, I think it comes out in late April, or mid to late April. So check out season 1 before that comes out, or before you watch season 2, obviously.
Definitely.
Next trailer is called Joyride. I don't know how to like describe this other than like, just if you want 2.5 minutes of pure entertainment,
Joy.
go watch Joy from Everything Everywhere All at Once.
It's a buddy travel.
No play on word there. I really did. This trailer gave me joy. It
did,
really
yeah.
did, and then it also gave me joy. But
right, yeah.
No, I think it looks good. I mean, it's just a buddy travel movie. It's about an adopted girl. She came from China, and she's trying to get back there to find her mom, her biological mom, and her friends go with her, and shenanigans happen. It looks hilarious.
It looks hilarious.
It looked a lot better than what I expected.
Oh my gosh!
I was like, I could care less, and then I saw the trailer. I was like, all right, this looks hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. And it just got like, it got better. Like like the first get you right out of the gate is like, that's kind of sweet. These two little girls playing, and then you're like, oh, all right, and then it just got better as things went, like, really the K-pop thing at the end. I just was laughing my butt off. So great. I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are terrific. So
it's gonna be good.
Feels a little Hangover.
I was gonna say I was gonna mention the Hangover about it, because that's kind of the way I felt about it
some
too.
Inspiration.
Yeah.
I mean, it just looks genuinely funny, and like they didn't go for like gross out stuff, like you typically see in this style of a comedy movie,
right?
So that's what gives me a lot of faith. Like, it looks like it's going to be genuinely funny, and it's just going to be a good story. And
they didn't have a lot of cringe, like gross cringe stuff just to make it gross and cringy. Like what cringe stuff there was like well done cringe stuff where you're like, that's pretty great. So I think after watching this, I think this is a day night movie with Stace. I think for sure when this one comes out, because I think I just think Stephanie Sue and Ashley Park are just as cute as they can be, and just so talented. Like Stephanie Sue,
timing is
oh my gosh, she's so talented.
Yeah, Stephanie Sue. Her name is Sue.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like that Oscar, it was tough. That was a tough one between her and Jamie Lee Curtis. Like I really wish that they could have just split that and just said, hey, they both get it, because they both
legacy win.
Yeah, probably legacy win. Yeah.
Stay tuned for the Nerd Rundown presents. Talk more about that. Honestly, the rest of the trailer train is really it's a we're painting a picture here of some Asian excellence, because
Yeah, really.
next
Yeah.
and you know, coming off of Everything Everywhere All at Once, winning the Oscars and sweeping the Oscars, it's really, really great to see some of these Asian actors get put into the spotlight, and it looks like they are just running with it, which they should.
Yeah.
Just like in the next one,
Hmm.
somebody we've already talked about that we're very excited about, Stephen Yeun, in a Netflix, I think it's Netflix,
Yep.
For sure, Netflix,
TV series called Beef. And
Yes.
honestly, the trailer did not catch me at all, except for the performances by Stephen Yeun and Ali Wong.
Yeah.
And they could be the only reasons I watched that show.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I don't know what you guys thought about it.
I see what you mean. Like, I agree. Like, the trailer, there was something just off about it. Like, maybe the way it was put together. I don't know. Just, I don't know if it's just the way it was edited, but it seemed off.
Yeah,
But
is this
again,
a comedy? Is this a dark?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
it a comedy?
It feels like it's a black comedy. Like, I feel like it's a
I
black
think it's going to
comedy.
be a black comedy, and
Yeah.
I think I'm going to check it out. Again, because of our two leads, mostly. Like I said, I'm going to support Stephen Yen, so I'll go check it out. I mean, it's coming to Netflix, so I'll go sit there. But
I'm a little confused by the IMDb because it could just be misleading. They just haven't updated it or whatever. But Ali and Steven are only in 4 episodes of a 10-episode series. So
I thought it was a movie.
well, it kind of made it kind of made it look like it was a movie, but then they said no, it's a series.
That was a series, yeah.
I was really confused.
And Ashley Park is in it also, so she's got a 3-episode thing.
There's
So
a few stand-up comedians in this, including Ali Wong.
Yeah. So I'm curious if this is going to be
nominated for it.
She was great. Like in the trailer, she was great. Like the most bipolar in a very bipolar way. She is like really, really great.
That's a really good
like I was saying,
you know?
they open the closet door and she's just pointing the weapon at the phone. And
Yeah.
like clearly making a threatening video.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that was a great moment.
Yeah, that was a good moment. But then there was a lot of seriousness in it. So you can tell they were putting on their comedy chops and their drama chops.
Yeah, and then the thing that got me was the thing that, like, I was on the fence of whether or not I was gonna like this, and then you have the scene where the two of them are talking to each other like face to face, and I was like, all right, yeah, I'll probably watch this because that scene sealed it for me. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll watch that.
You can tell they're gonna be good together.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Sure. Yeah, they've got some good chemistry for sure.
Yeah.
And then quick
it's a movie all about road rage. I guess we should.
Yeah, right. And
it's all about road rage and how
I mean, is that last? Is it? You know,
right? But that last scene, well, and it made sense. Like at first, I was like, beef. Like, what is this about? You know, and then it made sense for me. I was like, okay, well, they got a beef, which makes me wonder if the whole series is going to be not necessarily about their beef, but like beef in general, like people having different characters having beefs with other ones, and we'll kind of explore that, maybe kind of go that route. Like could be like a 6 degrees of
like a butterfly effect
separation.
Yeah, 6 degrees of separation, or
this and all these people.
That'd be cool if that was.
What was the one that won like the Oscar for that?
Traffic.
No,
Multiverse of Madness.
No, yeah, that's it.
Car accident. It was a
car accident one with the girl from Westworld, Tandy Newton, and people are shouting at the radio right now. I guarantee you.
Radio.
It was a great movie. Anyhow, yeah.
Anyway,
we'll move on. Yep.
Meg, look it up. So quick anecdote here. Took a little family trip this past weekend, and on the plane to the place, I watched for the very first time Crazy Rich Asians. And honestly, if there's a catalyst to this whole thing, I think that Crazy Rich Asians jump-started some Asian excellence in Hollywood, which is great. And somebody who was great in that movie. Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, well, I was just going to say that one, and then the Parasite.
Parasite winning best picture.
Yep.
Was that 2020?
Crash.
It was Crash.
Yeah, it was Crash.
I said car accident.
You said car accident. Yeah.
Honestly, when you said that, in my head, I interpreted it as crash. So I was like, no, I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah, crash.
Yeah, Crash. Yeah, that one was.
Yeah,
that was they were paid off. Rush were paid off that year.
I've heard nothing but good stuff about Crazy Rich Asians. It just doesn't strike me as a movie that not really in my wheelhouse, if you will. But
I wanted, in leading up to the Presents, I watched. It was the main reason I watched it was because of Michelle Yeoh, knowing that she was in it. So that helped, and it was a really, really good movie. Like a little emotional at the end, and subverted some rom-com expectations. And I'm sure if you're Asian, that movie is like gold to you. You could tell it was made with a lot of respect for the culture. One of the standouts from that movie, Aquafina, who's a standout in just about anything she is.
Love her. Absolutely love her.
I think I did. Now that I think about it hard, because I watched this trailer right before we got on the rundown. But the main official trailer for Renfield, the movie we've covered on the rundown before, starring Nicolas Cage and
Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult. Thank you. I was like, I already said it, Nicholas. Nick Cage and Nicholas Hoult as Dracula and his right hand man. He's not a doctor. I was gonna say Dr. Renfield, but no. Anyway,
you're thinking of Sherlock Holmes and Dr.
I'm just still like reminiscing about my screw up earlier, so I'm just really nervous to screw up again.
Frankenstein and Dr. Jekyll.
Yeah, this is a hard seat to be in. You conflate things at times. Anyway, the Renfield trailer, Erik, you're the one who pointed it out to me, and I'm glad you did. So thank you for that. This was a movie I don't think you were excited about before. Has your tune changed?
Oh, very much so. Like I told Stace, I said, you got to watch this trailer. And I said this was the trailer that came out before this one. And I was like, Nicolas Cage looks the most Nicolas Cage of all in this. And he looks just great. And then I saw where they dropped a new trailer just today. And this one's directed by Chris McKay, who is he's done some really, really, really great stuff. And I think it's Robert Kirkman, the guy who did The Walking Dead. It's an original idea from him and stuff. So I laughed from the very beginning to the very end of this thing. It is bloody, it is horror, but like in a funny over the top way, like it just is everything about this, including Nick Cage. And that's what I love about it, is like, it is Nick Cage, over the top Nick Cage as Dracula.
It feels natural.
It feels natural. It does feel natural. Like, it doesn't feel like he's overacting and all this stuff.
Right.
He's
it's him. Yeah.
It is him, and it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Yeah. And I think Nicholas Hoult is really funny. He's got a really great, just exhausted. He's just exhausted. And then his relationship with his relationship with Aquafina in the trailer is really good. It's one of the last clips in there is, where she's like, everybody has that story. At least it's not as bad as this is
everything we do today will be that.
I compare everything bad to that.
Yeah, I thought that line was classic. So
I laughed
and it's also got, I don't know what his role is in the movie. I don't know how big it is, but I'm a huge fan of the guy Ben Schwartz, who he's, I don't know what kind of role he's got, but he makes me laugh. He does the voice of Sonic in the movies.
He's so good.
But he's really good. He did he did that show The After Party, and which I just loved. I thought that was a great, I hope
trying to convince Anna to watch that.
I hope they make it into a series, but Banana.
You said it last time.
Just edit that out.
Yeah. Anyhow,
said it last time.
Have you seen The After Party?
Me?
No.
Yeah.
Either Morgan
Darren,
or
have
me.
you? Yeah, Darren, have you seen it?
I have not. I'm trying to convince Anna.
Yeah, I have not.
Oh man, well, D, I think D would. Well, that's a show that you both can watch with the wife. It's great. It's really funny. It's really funny, and then it's a cool mystery. Like it's a cool mystery stuff. You know, like it's just got some.
I love that. I want to watch it, and if I can't put on my sales hat and convince Banana to watch it.
Well, it's cool because each character gets like an episode, and you get like a backstory of each character, and you get to see how the evening progressed. You know, from each particular character's perspective, and it's really cool. You know, so
I saw the flash of Ben Schwartz, and I was like, oh, Ben Schwartz is good.
Yeah, he just is. He's a really talented.
I want to see everything he's in.
Yeah, he's a really talented dude, and I hope that he continues to get some more work. So anyhow, I 2 thumbs up for me on Renfield. I will definitely watch this one for sure, and I may even drag the wife to that one too, because I think she'll probably enjoy it. But
sure, Carson will like. I'll say this: if you do go to watch that trailer, it's not a red band trailer.
It's not a red band, but it's pretty doggone close.
But it is
probably should have been.
Yeah.
Probably should have been.
We're talking like that scene in Nightmare on Elm Street. Johnny Depp gets sucked into the bed, and the blood just like. That's what it's like every time like a limb comes off.
Right.
Like that stuff. Be prepared.
I think I have this thing with the kids. You know, like the kids were asking me like, "Hey, can we watch this movie?" And I'm like, "No, you can't watch that because it's an R-rated movie." And they're like, maybe I've told you guys this story or not, but I'm like, no, you can't watch that. That's an R movie. And then they're like, well, what about Jaws? And I'm like, well, Jaws is one of those R-rated movies that you probably could watch. You know, it'd probably be all right because it's not like a hard R. And Amelia goes, "What's a hard R movie?" And I'm like, it's like a really rated R movie, you know? And so now every time anything comes on, she's like, "Hey, can we watch that?" And I'm like, "No, we cannot watch that." And so the first question out of her mouth is that a hard R? And I'm like, "Is it a hard R?" And I'm like, "No, it's not a hard R, but it's still not appropriate." So
maybe we should go around saying, "Is it a hard R?"
Yeah.
That's not gonna end well.
Never know. Really good trailer train there. I was like 4 for 4.
Yeah, honestly, 4 for 4 for sure. Yep.
Don't get that very often. Yeah. Let's move to the Nerd Box, and we have a special Nerd Box submission this week coming from DeAnna Santo. That would be BigMorg's wife, if you're wondering. So maybe her first time.
Yeah,
I think so.
No, it is.
So welcome to the Nerd Rundown, DeAnna. She writes in, why are nerds so critical? And when I first read this, I've read it as like critical, like we're critical to what? Like critical to
critical infrastructure.
Like we're needed.
That's the right way to read it. That's right.
I have an answer to that.
Why are we so important to the world?
Exactly.
Right.
That's just the Aries in me. But
this question is based off of any time I watch anything that I care about. That's what it's based on. Basically, why do we pick things apart and look into things we do? And I explained it to her. I was like, I'm going to explain this to you now because even though you're my wife, you are probably not going to watch this show. I said, it's just because when we know they're translating something we care about or expanding something we care about, you know, we dive into these worlds because we love this stuff. Like, this is what we do. We love it. Like, yes, I was critical on the Last of Us show. I still love the show, but I'm going to be critical because I mean, the game that's my thing. I played it however many times. I loved it. So I'm going to pick it apart because it's what I love. Like when I watch the Resident Evil stuff, I'm going to I
Yeah.
stopped picking it apart just because it's like,
There's
it's gone. I was like, all right,
nothing else to do
whatever.
with it.
But it's just because I love the franchise. I love that stuff. And I tried to explain it to her, like, picture of like, you love Harry Potter. If when the movies come out, instead of Harry Potter, fighting and solving stuff, he was just kind of in the background. And they had other people do stuff for him. I'm like, you would be annoyed because they changed it. That is what it is. You would be
Sounds good
critiquing
to
it
me.
because it's something you care about. Or, for example, when she's in the medical field, I go, you critique any damn thing that involves medical.
I think you're
stuff.
taking all of our answers here, Morgan. Because that's what I was going to say. I remember what show were we watching? Either House of the Dragon or The Last of Us, because I feel like we were talking about it on here where she's like, oh yeah,
The Last of Us.
nope, that's not how you do it.
A certain somebody got hurt, and The Last of Us is still fresh, and she was like, they're dead. They're dead. There's no way. They're just dead.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's because DeAnna is in that field, right?
Exactly.
And she cares. She obviously cares very much for that field and cares when things are done right. And
authenticity.
Yeah, take that framework and move it here to that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference?
That's what it is. Yeah.
Do the creators of whatever property or the ones who are doing it, do they care enough to get the details right? Because the details are important. But yeah, I think the fact of the matter is that in a lot of these things, we've invested so much time in these that we're emotionally invested in the future of these characters and these things. And so we like to see, I think The Last of Us maybe is a good example of, we like to see them take characters that we've done and bring them into different formats or different mediums, and stay true to what makes it great, but also sometimes they can take creative liberties and add things or subtract things, potentially that maybe didn't really work or didn't really have to, and so, but you have to be careful with that. Like, I don't want to, like Morgan, I think wanted a frame for frame, show of The Last of Us. And so that's,
he really just wanted a tougher Joel, actually.
Yeah, he wanted,
if he just beat a couple more people to death, that would have been happy.
Yeah, you've been all right with it. Yeah. So I think that's why we're as critical on stuff as we are. And especially when you can see in certain projects that the guys and gals and folks who are putting these things together love them as much as we love them and appreciate them as much as we appreciate them. I think that's where we can look at things and go, yeah, okay. I'll give an example of in the Star Wars universe of the dichotomy of leadership, if you will, on different projects. So you have Jon Favreau and Filoni doing The Mandalorian, and those dudes are Star Wars fans. They love Star Wars. They live and breathe Star Wars. They want great Star Wars. They want to make great Star Wars stuff. And for the most part, they're making great Star Wars stuff, and people are really enjoying it. They like watching it, and so you can see that love for the property coming to the screen. Versus, let's say, Rian Johnson, who wants to take Star Wars in a different direction, and wants to
screw it over.
Yeah, basically wants to like redo Star Wars because he doesn't like where it was, or he wants to bring it in for the modern audience, or whatever that even means, And it's like, okay, well, I know that you in your own way love Star Wars, but it doesn't show. It's you're trying to tell your story in the Star Wars universe, and that's not what we see. I think on the screen is I want you to tell me a Star Wars story, not a Rian Johnson story that takes place in the Star Wars universe, because it's not the same thing. So
that's the thing. Like, it's all about the care. Like Walking Dead. on issue 170 something now, like, because I was reading it
Yeah.
as it was going. So like I invest in it. Like, and like you said, creative changes, comic Shane dies in like the first two
The
issues.
first
Spoiler.
issue, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's not. But
Yeah.
they fleshed him out more in the show, and that was a
Right.
great addition.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
They showed him and his descent into insanity and being tough, and how he kind of right. Like, you had
Yeah.
to be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
it gave us,
like,
and it
that's
gave us John Bernthal because of it.
I was gonna say it really put John Bernthal on
put him on the map. But yeah,
the
so
map,
it's like that. It's just care about it. We want
Yeah, agreed.
I mean,
Great question though.
it is a great question because it ties into our central theme of see it right here at the bottom of the screen. What kind of nerd are you? Right? We are all a nerd in our own way. We nerd out about whatever we want, whatever we can. Nerding out is just having some passion. That's all. Right? So if someone calls you a nerd, laugh it off. Be like, thank you.
Yeah. I know. My dad says he's not a nerd, but tell you what, he knows everything about World War II.
Exactly.
Like,
dude.
You sure you're not a nerd?
Seriously. Yeah.
The fragile ego of the closeted nerd. It's okay, man.
That's
But-
what it is.
It's come out anytime to us.
Yeah.
So great question. Why are we so critical? It's because we have passion, and if you feel like you've been critical of something in your life, it's probably because you have strong feelings towards something.
Yeah.
I'll do to show her what we mean. I'm gonna remake Dawson's Creek, then she'll get it.
Oh, is that what kind of nerd she is?
Oh my god! Even I've seen all of Dawson's Creek now.
All right. Well, great rundown. Looking
Well,
forward to.
I was just gonna say the Damon. I wanted to tie that because remember earlier we were talking about the David Lindelof
No.
Star Wars script, where he kind of said, "Hey, he's, taken off of there and stuff."
Yeah.
And I was thinking, that type to tie into that question that D was, asking, why are we so critical? It's like, okay, well, even Lindelof, knows that, he's looking at that going, am I doing enough for, am I driving Star Wars forward or am I hurting Star Wars? That type of thing. And so for him, I can appreciate that because he is a fan of Star Wars and he literally is putting himself second, when it comes to, it's like, hey, I turned this in, but, I think I might be better as a person eating than a chef in the kitchen on this. And I'm like, man, that's gutsy. I'll just say that's gutsy.
Controlling you.
Yeah. I was trying to find the tweet, but I'll see if I can I'll link to it in the description. You guys can read.
Yeah, good call on that one. I mean, it goes along with a rundown full of like some crazy news in there. Some of the casting updates. Will's canceled after season 1. Victoria Alonso being gone. It's really going to be interesting to see if there is an actual difference with her being gone. Really excited for Michael Waldron. Yada yada yada. Looking forward to more from just about anything he does. So looking forward to also jumping on the presents with you guys and breaking down and reviewing the best Oscar winner, best picture, the Oscar winner for best picture, I guess is a better way of saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's the best winner.
A movie that I have been touting for a little while now, and thankfully you guys watched it because I'm so excited to talk about it. And I know you guys liked it too, so interesting to see how what your guys' thoughts are on some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. So tune in for that. All right, let's go get on it. And with that being said, see you all next week on the Nerd Rundown.
See ya.